What up, doe, and welcome back to Detroit Next. This is Bryce Huffman with BridgeDetroit, filling in for Malachi Barrett and Stephen Henderson. Today, we've got the last 3 of the 9 mayoral candidates who are on the ballot for you. But before we get to interviews with Joel Haashiim, Jonathan Barlow, and DaNetta Simpson, let's quickly talk about the fact that absentee ballots are out. So some Detroiters are already voting. August 5th is the actual election day, but we want to make sure that you get to hear from all of the candidates who are on the ballot in this race. So far, you've heard from candidates like Mary Sheffield, Santil Jenkins, Fred Durhal, Solomon Kinlock, Todd Perkins. You've heard from James Craig. But now for the 3 candidates who often are left out of the conversation for the mayor's race, we want to make sure that every Detroiter gets to hear them speak and talk about what they plan to do if elected. So yeah, let's just get right into these interviews so you can hear what they've got to say. Welcome back to Detroit Next. I'm here with candidate Joel Haashiim. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first question, and I know you've already talked to my colleague Malachi Barrett about this when you decided to run for mayor, but just tell me a little bit about what makes you uniquely qualified to deal with some of the financial hardship that the city might face in the next mayor administration.
First of all, you're talking 54 years of domestic and international business. Then you're talking about the ability to bring international companies and domestic companies into Detroit to do business. That's job creation. That's producing occupational wage jobs, careers. And that's what we need in Detroit. Then I have 23 years of building concept experience where we learn how to mass produce housing and buildings utilizing different types of concepts to not compromise the quality, but reduce the costs. So just that, Detroit needs all 3 of those skill sets to bring in what we need in Detroit.
So you talked about the job creation part. There's been programs to do workforce development here. There have been people that say, if we do a development, we're going to hire this many Detroiters. What's been missing so far that you think you're going to be able to bring to actually add the jobs that we need?
Well, first of all, the existing companies clearly have broken their word, and they have signed a CBO.
Community benefit ordinance.
Right. And so we need a true benefits agreement that's enforceable in court. So because they used a weak CBO, the corporations and the rich have utilized that to get tax abatements 30 and 35 years. And don't forget, these same companies are financed through Detroit taxpayers in the infrastructure and even in the startup. So almost every tax abatement Detroit has given, it is the taxpayers' money. And the taxpayers get absolutely nothing out of it. And that's why I like to say 000 when you talk about a CBO. It's not for the people. And that's what they want to keep. And for the other candidates to continue to talk about a CBO, what they're really saying to Detroit residents is, hey, we're not going to change the game here. We're not going to do what's right for the people, the residents in the city of Detroit. We're not even going to do what's best for our children and our grandchildren because they are affected adversely through the education, libraries, etc., infrastructure, the quality of life of Detroit residents, including our children, is at stake here.
So you talked about bringing businesses in domestically and international businesses. Have you already identified some business partners that you might want to bring in?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. In fact, it's been long-standing with me where we already had people who wanted to invest. Over 10 years ago, I had a Chinese company want to come in with a computer chip manufacturing, and they wanted to train Detroit residents. I also had people coming from the Middle East that flew in, met with the governor, blah, 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 and the Wayne County execs, et cetera, and the corporate heads, and they wanted to invest only in Detroit. However, they got steered into the airport scenario for investment in some other areas. And they were really upset about that. We have to understand that there are people around the world who want to come to Detroit to do business. They love Detroit. They love the music that came out of Detroit. They like the ingenuity that came out of Detroit, primarily out of our community. And I just like to add one quick thing to that. A lot of people don't understand the plantational Willie Lynch syndrome. It's been practiced in Detroit. People say, oh, no, you crazy. No. What you have to understand is in cities and towns, traditionally, when you had a population that was at the bottom end of the economic ladder, what the rich and the corporations would do, they wouldn't allow anything to come into your community that was going to pay an occupational wage. Their primary concern was that they would keep a labor force where they could continue to pay low wages. So this is historical happening in this country and very historical in Detroit. And so when we look at why Detroit communities, 75% plus, own nothing, have no empowerment economically. Yeah, we have votes, but we don't have political empowerment. Why are our schools at 170 at the national average? Why? Because when Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson wanted to put a theme park here, oh, who gave them the no? When Don Barton wanted a casino, who gave them the no? When Magic Johnson wanted to do 3 or 4 projects here, who gave him the no? When Pop Winans wanted to do some projects, when Bishop Bonner wanted to build a subdivision, when I wanted to build a subdivision in my neighborhood that I grew up, to date only have a few new homes. Who is giving us the no? The corporations and the rich people. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in. To date, we don't have little to no Black empowerment economically. And we've been getting to know when our community always say, oh, when they get rich, they never come back. Well, they tried to come back. What we don't understand is that the oligarchs, were making the calls through our political apparatus that look like us, but they represented the corporations and the rich. That's just keeping it real.
Yeah, from the forums I've seen you in, the ones that you have been invited to, and different articles I've read about you, you really lean on the idea of being pro-Detroiters, particularly people who've been here and stuck through very difficult times and economic situations. My question is, what about attracting new people here? How do you balance the desires of people who are not here yet with the people who have been here and stuck out these hard times? It's not an easy balance, I'm sure, but...
Yes, sir. I'm a legacy Detroiter. I want to bring back the spirit of Detroit. And so I'm not against people coming here. That's not the issue. The issue is that the legacy Detroiters and the people who stuck it out, who've been beat down, overcharged, overtax assessed, including the Detroiters that were forced out of our city due to a predatory government. Yes, your own government from the land bank, city of Detroit, Wayne County and state and the political apparatus across the board with the corporate apparatus have worked together for gentrification, people, and that's what has happened. And so to answer your question in a short way is I'm not going to forget the Detroit residents. I'm going to bring in people because I'm bringing in industry. So in order to bring people out of the poverty into the middle class, we have to begin to prepare them for the future, for the jobs that's coming in. Quaternary economy, focusing on the sector that's going to actually bring in these new 21st century jobs is great. Housing is a big issue. And of course, we have a plan for housing. I'll pretty much wait till you ask me about the housing, but we've got to be able to bring people into the city. You have to have reasonable price housing. The option to buy must be there, as well as reasonable rents.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll be right back on Detroit Next.
All right, I am here with businessman and mayoral candidate Jonathan Barlow. Thank you so much for being on Detroit Next.
Thanks for having me, Malachi, and Detroit's Next community. I'm just pleased and humbled to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. We've had a chance to talk a number of times now. This is the first time we've been able to get you on the show. So I'm glad to kind of dive into some things that maybe the public hasn't been able to have the chance to hear you talk about yet. So we are getting into the final stages of this race. Absentee ballots are out. They will be delivered to folks by the time this episode airs and people will be voting. Whatever happens at the end of the day, I want to talk with you a little about what you feel like your impact on this race has been. I've seen you at these forums. You've been challenging opponents to think about things in a different way. Do you feel like your inclusion in this race has, brought forward some different issues? Like, what do you think your impact has been?
Well, Malachi, this has been a wonderful time just getting to know voters, getting to know a little bit more deeper about the issues that they care most about. The forums that I've been a part of, it's very clear that I'm just a different candidate. The plan that I keep on referring to is the only plan that continues to be presented. And so I believe voters, as well as the other candidates, as well as the city, has taken note to the things that I've said. And Kate, this is an example why. After the last Karen Dumas and Charlie the Duff forum at WC3 on the west side, 3 calls came in. The first call that came in was about the Pingree Park situation that I referenced. All the community members over there were ecstatic and happy that they were finally being heard. Secondly, I got calls about the city trying to improve its delivery service on customer service and their departments now potentially having some more technology infused into that. So we know the city is paying attention. And so lastly, I'll just say every time I step outside now, others are coming up to me, telling me they're watching the campaign, telling me they're paying attention, looking to support me in any way possible. And so I know from running campaigns and looking at how polls are done, I'm not worried because I'm a winner regardless. I deal with business and advocacy all my life, and it continues to be something that I'm able to assert myself in at any given moment. So I'm always a winner. There is no loser draw.
Well, I was talking with Councilmember Durhal, who's one of your opponents in this race, about what he sees as this kind of feedback loop that can legitimize certain candidates and hold and put others in kind of a different box where these polls are done, at a certain point in time that are not, they're representative of kind of a snapshot of where the electorate is at. Those polls are then used to determine who gets invited to debates, who gets invited to events where those candidates who are fortunate enough to poll well and then get invited are exposed to a broader audience and are, up for different endorsements and they have kind of more some more legitimacy by being invited to that. And then that further kind of reinforces some of the name recognition and the momentum that they build. And it seems very difficult for somebody that doesn't have the opportunity to get invited to some of these things, or, their support isn't reflected very highly in a poll. How do you overcome that? I'm asking is because you've not been able to participate in some of these things as well. And do you feel like this is from kind of like the way we run elections in the city? Are there people making decisions about who's legit and who's not, who's the real candidate, who's an underdog?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, let's just be clear about it. Media has totally exaggerated a lot of different things. I can tell you, if you go back, and I have screenshots of what the Fox Theater looked like during that initial announcement of
when Pastor Kinloch
announced.
I was in the room.
They said it was 4,000, 5,000 people in there. How, when the mezzanine and the balcony are totally empty? The numbers don't add up for me. But the numbers don't add up for me in politics and government either. When we market a city, and similar to how Ms. Dumas came on here and shared with you, we market a city and give out numbers that totally give an illusion of what is not reality here in the city, and that's why Detroiters are mad. So when it comes to the forums that I've not been able to participate in due to polls that have been done with 500 or 400 people, they do that specifically and strategically and intentionally to get their candidates across. I'll just be frank with you. The story and the narrative put on the top 2 to 4 candidates, and then the numbers that they say I bring in, they say I'm going to bring in less numbers than I had in city council, and it was 160 candidates. Mm-hmm. So for me, all my advisors and my team, we don't look at the numbers, especially those that are reported. We do understand how they try to position other candidates, but our job is to speak to Detroiters and not get distracted, because when we get this job, or when whoever gets this job and then calls on us to play a big role in that administration, we believe truly that we'll be able to carry out the will and the hearts of the people. Mm-hmm. And so we you know, I can go into any of these offices, corporations, make 2 calls and get in front of them. It's not hard to get an audience. But it's funny how they don't want any other players or voices at the table. I talked to Alan over at Detroit Black and White.
Yeah, Alan Wengel?
Yeah. And I asked him the question, is it a conspiracy theory or something? He said, man, nah, it just, sometimes things just happen the way that they do. And, you know, we all know about backdoor politics, and we fight through it. It matters not to me.
Can you illustrate that a little bit more for me? Can we peel into that? When you say like they and the people kind of making some of these decisions about who's taken seriously?
Well, okay, this is what we do. Let's be straight up about it.
Yeah.
Duggan already supports his candidate. They're keeping Mary Sheffield at the head. They're keeping Mary Sheffield ahead. Now, she hasn't been in as many forums as me. She hasn't done as many podcasts as me. When I go into certain areas, they know Mary, but they never seen her before. I go to the Humane Society, they never seen her before. She does a bus ride for the first time and puts it on social media. So these are they're allowed to pump her up. The pastor, he hasn't been in any of the community forums. Yeah. So how is it that he has this great following? And I talk to more ministers than them both put together. And so
I've heard this idea a lot that Duggan is like stealthily supporting a candidate. Maybe Mary.
Listen,
maybe somebody else. How is he doing that? Tell me how you see that.
Get this. Between the Illich family, between those who have been part of Lear Corporation and those type of organizations, they're supporting Kinloch. Dan Gilbert, as well as Duggan behind the scenes, are keeping Mary ahead, and that's why the media won't let her slip. Okay?
What do you mean by that, though?
They won't let her slip. Get this. 3 polls say that Jenkins, Craig, and Kinloch are battling for second. That's just to keep Mary right here. They've only polled 1,500 voters total between the 3 polls. Mm-hmm. Actually, 1,400 if you really want to be honest. And so the only way that media, get this, they will not let me on WDI4 or me or Fred get on that televised debate, because they know we go shoot shots at Mary and Kinloch. And if they can't have one of those picks that Dan Gilbert or Illich controls, then they're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And so
conceptually, I understand what you're saying, but I specifically, how do you back that up? How do you feel confident saying that? What evidence do you have?
Let me ask you this. Just like Karen Dumas told you, for the last 4 years, the media has not gone against anything that Duggan has done. Maybe 1 or 2 times when people have raised a big enough issue to cause federal eyes to start looking. But after that, nobody has said anything. But what continues to happen is that when we get to election time, the media continue. I got a letter from Channel 4 saying we're going to pick our candidates based off of the same criteria that the AFL-CIO said and the same criteria that Mackinac said. And then they all get to the debate or the forum and say, well, we really couldn't make a decision off of any real facts. That means that you all went behind the scenes and backdoored this deal to figure out who y'all can control in the numbers and control with your donations. And you had to call an editor or something that has a relationship with some major investor. Listen, this is what happens. There's something called, I think in journalism, safe cows, where
Sacred cow?
Sacred cows. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, either way to go. It's the one.
I just know that's a term.
I think it's a sacred cow where a corporation, to save themselves from any bad publicity, is going to become a major advertiser for the publication. Mm-hmm. And so just think about how much money our corporations and major investors have spent with these publications and outlets over the course of time, to where they become the sacred cow. You can't talk bad about them, and when they don't want you to talk bad about their friends, you're not going to do that either. And that's why I enjoy independent agencies that you all are a part of that openly allow us to come and share information so that people can be able to make an honest decision for themselves.
Yeah, great. Well, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas with us and taking the time to be on our program.
Malachi, I appreciate you so much, and continue and much success, and continue to be the voice that you are, man. For real.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Welcome back to Detroit Next. I'm here with mayoral candidate DaNetta Simpson. Let's talk about how the campaign's going for you so far.
Well, it's going pretty good for me so far. You know, I'm an independent. I'm someone new. I'm someone fresh. And so I don't have all the money that the other candidates has because they are politically connected.
All right. Let's talk about the fact that, this isn't your first time running. You've run for mayor before. You ran in 2021. You run for statewide.
And 2017.
Yeah, and 2017. And you've run for some statewide seats. What have you learned from those campaigns and those election cycles that you're carrying with you in this one?
Okay. What I learned from that is that I'm a primary winner regardless of how many candidates are running, because I be the only candidate that's running as independent. I don't have an opponent in that category. And non-affiliation party of Michigan. And I wanted to make sure that people are aware that I'm someone new. I'm a new voice. I'm someone new that can give them a different opportunity of what they have been getting. And some of the things they has been getting is because the other mayors has taken my advice and have taken some of my platform and used it.
All right. So, like I said, you've run a few times before. What do you think qualifies you most to be mayor of Detroit? We're at a really interesting time in our city's history. Obviously, we're not going to have some of the financial help that we had from Washington, that we had during the Biden administration, and we're going to have those pension obligations coming up due pretty soon. What qualifies you to deal with those problems? Like, let the people know.
Well, I'm an independent thinker. And I'm an independent candidate as well. And we are a fresh voice for Washington. We haven't asked, and we haven't been in any past or previous debt with the government administration. So that's a plus for us as well. And as far as the new pensions and stuff are going, the way I plan on running the city, it will help them. That way we can stir the cuts that they have suffered. We can replace those cuts.
Right.
So with the independent candidate, that's what Detroit needs right now.
All right. Let's get into some specifics real quick. First I should let people know this is a nonpartisan race, so political affiliation party-wise is irrelevant for the mayor's race, but good to know that you are thinking as an independent in this race. What qualifications in your background, are going to help you make decisions for Detroiters?
Well, I'm a lifetime resident, okay, first of all. I lived in the struggle, not too far from the Black Bottom on the east side. And I've lived in the struggle with most of the residents in the city of Detroit within the past 40 years, 40 to 45 years now. So I have a lot in common with them. I have experienced what they have experienced. I have been left out, and so have them.
All right. So you mentioned being left out. I assume you mean left out of some of the mayoral forums that have taken place, correct?
That's one. And two, I have been left out because I'm an independent, because I have not been able to express my candidacy as a voice for the people because I don't have the financial backing behind me.
All right. So, DaNetta, you mentioned that you don't quite have the financial backing of some of the other candidates, yet, you did get on the ballot, so you were able to collect signatures, meaning you do have some support from people in the community. What have you been hearing from voters that are in support of your campaign?
Well, they support me because of gun control. And I'm keeping my promise from 2017 to present that I made a promise to them that I wanted to fix the neighborhoods. And I'm able to fix the neighborhoods because I have a new vision. I have a new idea that will bring vision and hope and disparity to the neighborhoods where no one will be left out.
All right, so let's get into some of these ideas. You mentioned gun control. What are some ideas you have for solving that issue here in Detroit?
Well, one, we have a big gun problem upon Afro-Americans, and we have to change our mindset on how to solve our issues, our problems that we come into face with every day. And one way I will solve that is not allowing guns in the wrong hands for certain people. And far as like mental illnesses cannot have guns, felons cannot have guns. So we need to make public places safe for them so they don't have to feel like they need a gun, And I established a no-gun policy. Some of it is a law, but it's not a law in all places, public places. And I would like to see that change. And also, under the law, you have trafficking and you have trafficking under the law, but you don't have trafficking under the gun law. Transporting a firearm and trafficking a firearm, that needs to become law. And that will stir a lot of gun violence that has taken place in the city of Detroit.
All right. Well, I guess I'm still trying to get some specifics on if you're elected, what would you specifically do as mayor to combat gun violence in Detroit? Does that look like additional funding for the Detroit Police Department? Does that look like more attention on community violence intervention programs? What would your philosophy be there?
It will be both. I would like to get more money to come in for intervention, for prevention. Okay, I started preventing crime in 2005. Okay, and I had other administrations to use my idea to prevent crime, and it has been successful, but it's not their recipe. It's mine.
What other administrations have used your template?
Duggan, he has used crime prevention. That's why in certain areas, some of the crime statistics are down. I actually joined him in 2017, but I didn't choose to work for him. Not because he wasn't a good candidate, but because, or his administration, it's because I'm independent and I have my own ideas.
All right, let's get into some more of those ideas. Let's talk about neighborhood investment. That's something that all the candidates have talked about in one way or another, whether that be Durhal's idea of community business corridors, or whether that be Santil's idea of really doing a lot for youth after school in some of those more dangerous times of day. What are your ideas for investing in community and also keeping people safe?
Well, first of all, with investing in the community, I feel like we need to come up with our own insurance that covers deterioration, what other insurance companies do not cover. Like if our porches, our housing, our roofs, our gutter system, we need painting done. Far as the
Like
structure, home repair, the structure of the house. See, grants only cover when there's an emergency need. And the loan, everybody is not qualified for. Under the city insurance program, we will be able to leave the blight.
All right.
And that way it won't be reoccurring in our neighborhoods.
All right. Mayoral candidate DaNetta Simpson, thank you for joining us. All right, so there you have it. Those were interviews with Joel Haashiim, Jonathan Barlow, and DaNetta Simpson. That's it for all of our mayoral candidate interviews heading into the primary. Thank you for being with us on this. This is a community-led effort, meaning we can't do this show without you. We need your input. We need your voice to make this show what it is. If you want, you can actually leave us a voicemail. We have a Google phone number set up specifically for that. That number is 313-284-6407. Leave us a voicemail. Keep it short. Make sure your name is in it, and we can actually play it on the show. Also, make sure to give us what neighborhood you are coming from, and really let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what you think about this mayor's race, what you think about the city council races coming up. And again, that number is 313-284-6407. Detroit Next, like we said, is a community-led project from BridgeDetroit, and Detroit is different, which means we can't do any of this work without you. If you have a question or comment for us, make sure to call that number or email us at info@bridgedetroit.com. And if you like what we're doing here, you can actually donate to us. You can donate at bridgedetroit.com/donate. You could also donate to Detroit is Different to keep this thing going. We wanted to make this show free. We want to keep doing it all year long. Help us do that and support us. You can also head to the Bridge Detroit YouTube to find all the episodes that we've already done and the full interviews with the candidates, including our interviews that we did at the Mackinac Policy Conference. All of it is there on our YouTube. But if you're someone like me who prefers the audio versions of shows, you can also check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and at detroitnext.podbean.com. Stick with us. We're going to be doing this all the way after the November election, and we want to make sure you're here with us for that. Until next time, peace. Detroit Next is a community-led project from Bridge Detroit, and Detroit is Different, which means that we can't do this work without you. We need your support. If you have a question or a comment and want to participate in this process throughout the year, give us a call. We have a phone line set up at 313-284-6407. Leave us a message and we'll play it on the podcast. If you like what we're doing, head to bridgedetroit.com and subscribe to our newsletters. All of that content, again, is free, no paywalls for anybody. We're trying to make this as accessible as possible. Head to our YouTube channel to get full episodes and interviews along with extra content throughout the year. You can also find the audio version of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and detroitnext.podbean.com. We're going to be doing this all year long, so stay with us. Follow Bridge Detroit and Detroit is Different on your favorite social media platforms and take this ride with us. Thanks.